It's really nice to be back. We are a homegrown, we're a Queensland-based company. We've got Queensland assets, so it's fantastic being up here. I'm pretty much the only one in the team that's down in the eastern states. We've got a fantastic team up here. We've got a lot of shareholders in Queensland, and it's really nice to be back here today to catch up with many of them. So, okay, so QMines. So we're a 3-year-old company now. We hit the big 3-0 only a couple of weeks ago. So we listed in May of 21. And one thing I want you to take away from this presentation today is that we are a young and dynamic team, and we like to move, okay? We hate watching the grass grow. Many of you have heard me say it many times before. And the other thing is we do things differently, okay? So you'll see this flavour throughout the presentation. We own our own drill rigs. We've bought all the land, and we've come from, we've got a lot of expertise in the capital markets, so we think deeply about our strategy and how we can really monetize these assets, for our shareholders. So you'll see also that a lot of our board are big shareholders in the business, and we've invested a lot of our own money in the business. So this is something we believe in, and something that we're really excited about, and I'll take you through in a bit more detail now. As you'll see through the presentation, I'd like to keep this very simple, because as we talked about before, there's a lot of detail to get through today. So visualise. So let's start with the growth strategy. Okay, so as I said, we're in Queensland, and one thing that's very different about QMines, and don't underestimate this, is we're right near the coast. Okay, we're not 500 k's from the nearest pub. We're not, we don't have to travel on plane and boat and scooter to get there. We're literally 20 k's out of the regional town of Rockhampton, so we're in a fantastic location. And I suppose the key message there is that this gives us a really low capex advantage when we take this down that development curve. The other thing to take away here is that this asset is a former producing mine, and a very high grade one at that. Okay. It was an open pit project. For those of you who are technical, it's what we call a VHMS deposit. These deposits are known for being high grade, and historically it was mined at about 3.6% copper, 2% copper and 3.6 grams gold and about 19 grams silver. So these deposits, when you find them, they're absolutely gorgeous, and they generate a lot of money for shareholders. Now we've got 2 projects here. If you have a look closely at the map, on the coast side, on the eastern side, you'll see our flagship project, Mt Chalmers. It's 100% owned, and effectively that's where our historic mine is, the Mt Chalmers historic copper and gold mine is. We have 4 deposits at that project that are already known. Okay, and I'll get into some of that detail in a second. And then on the left-hand side, you'll see we've got our recently acquired Develin Creek project. We've acquired an initial 51%, and we're moving to 100% interest in August this year with a further payment to another listed company. Now you can see here is the regional strategy. Okay, we're not, we don't have assets in Africa and some in New Zealand and some all over the world. We really like to focus. Okay, and that's a big part of our strategy here. We think that allows us to really allocate capital a lot more efficiently and really drive better returns for our shareholders. So we've got a team that lives up on site. As I said, we do things differently. We've bought a lot of the land over the mine site there, and that really allows us to really fast track this business plan. We don't need to get into long and protracted conversations with landowners about how we can get in and explore and those sort of things. All right, so the last takeaway here is that there is infrastructure in spades, okay, and I mean it. We're, as I say, we're so lucky. Gladstone, the 4th largest port in the world by metals throughput, is just to our south, about 60 k's by rail. We've got large gauge rail all the way traversing right across the project through Rockhampton down to Gladstone. 8 flights in and out of Rockhampton a day. Both Qantas and Virgin come in, so that makes it really easy for us to operate in a low capital environment, which is fantastic. All right, so the other thing here that you'll see that is different, and one thing that Chris mentioned before, is a lot of the good projects have already been mined. Well, this is the one that hasn't, and I encourage you to look really closely at this, because it's got some really different rudiments here that make it very attractive for shareholders. Okay, the first one is, if you look at those sections closely, it's shallow. okay? We're not talking, 500 or 600 metres down. We're not talking underground mining, which is more expensive. This is very simple, open pit mining, fantastic metallurgy, really high recoveries. It's largely a copper and gold deposit with a small silver, lead and zinc tail. And the other key takeaway here, if you look closely at that top image, is a lot of the grades at the top. Okay, so we don't have to, it's not a typical, steep dipping deposit where it's, your grade increases with depth. This is a fantastic ore body because the grade's at the top. Now, what does that mean for investors? That means this project returns capital very, very quickly. Generates really strong returns through life of mine, and particularly in those first 3 years, and we'll get into the PFS results shortly, it returns capital to pay back debt and returns it to shareholders very, very quickly, which is brilliant. Okay, I said right at the start we deliver, okay? We're unashamedly younger. We've come from the capital markets. This is my third listed company. Our last one we sold very successfully to a large US-based private equity group. And we're known, we're getting a track record now of being known. We've got a fantastic team based in Queensland for moving things along quickly. And I'll talk to that now. Okay, so I challenge you to find another company that can move things along as quick as we can, okay? As I said right at the start, we've only been listed 3 years. We've already pushed out 6 resource updates. Not 1, 6. This is something that we're very passionate about. As I said right at the start, we're big shareholders and we're strongly incentivised to move this along. And it's also important to note that we've done this through the down part of the cycle. And let's be really candid, and I'll talk to this a bit later. It has been quite tough in the smaller mid-cap copper and gold stocks in the last couple of years, particularly the last 2 years. And what this shows is that we've been able to attract capital at reasonable terms and really progress our business plan even through that tough downward cycle. Now, as you'll see here, that I've sort of alluded to it, there is a lot more growth coming, okay? At our 2 projects, there are 6 deposits. Now, I'll talk to our PFS results shortly. We've just put out a PFS only a matter of weeks ago, and it's only at one of those 6 deposits, okay? So the hint here is there's a lot more growth to come, okay? So we've put out a couple of announcements the last couple of weeks about how we're going to grow this, and it's not subject to, circles on a map, let's go and test this target and that target. These are known deposits that have already been drilled that are going to come into this mine plan, all right? And I'll talk to some of those in a second. So we have growth in absolute spades. Now the PFS, okay, this was quite exciting, all right? So we put this out only a matter of weeks ago, and the results were really fantastic. Typically you'll see a lot of companies take 2 to 3 years to push out these sort of studies. We did it in 9 months, okay? We worked, weekends, day and night. We've got, as I say, a fantastic team that are big shareholders in the business. We pushed this out as quick as we possibly could, okay? And as you'll see here, the results were fantastic. I think it's 373 million NPV at slightly less than spot pricing. At NPV8, so not your cheeky NPV 5s and 6s that you commonly see out there for those of you who are, understand the financial side of things. So this is conservative, and importantly, there's 373 million NPV from only one deposit. And as I said, there are 5 others that we still have to incorporate into this. So this is going to really, really grow and grow quite quickly. The other thing that's important to take away here is that the margins are, some of the best out there, okay? And it's no secret, shallow deposits, fantastic mets, good grade that are near infrastructure, it generates a lot of return, okay? If you look at that bottom chart there, what I've done, I've actually put up at the time the copper, spot price, and I've actually put our life of mine, C1 cost in the below line there. This is right at the bottom of the cost curve, okay? This generates strong margins, not just in a couple of years, throughout the whole 10.4 year mine life. So fantastic, cornerstone asset. The last takeaway here is that, of the 600 odd million that this in free cash this project generates, a lot of that comes in the first 3 years, okay? Now, why is that important? That means that this pays back capital in about 1.8 years. So it's very fast payback. So it's not your typical 3 to 4 year payback period before you start returning value to shareholders. This will return value to shareholders really, really quickly and really early in that mine plan, which is a really important thing to consider. Okay, on the ESG side, obviously we're a developer, we're a copper developer. We've got these 6 assets that we're moving down that development curve rapidly, and we knew right from the start that we have to get this through the important permitting and approvals process, okay? Because of that, we've really made a big effort on the ESG side, not for a lot of the other reasons out there. We want to show the local community, the regulators, all the people that are engaged and part of this, part of this project, part of this company, that we can do this sustainably. So I'm very pleased to say that we're one of only, I think, 3 listed resources companies today, and that's from BHP down, that's certified carbon neutral. Okay, so we've really forward thinking. We're progressing things, and we're doing things differently. And so we've got wind on site, we've got solar on site, we've got battery backups. We've got 5 environmental monitoring stations starting to capture data, getting ready for this environmental approvals process that we're about to go down. So we're really leading the charge here and showing that we can develop these assets sustainably. And so we'll have more to say about that in the near future. Okay, I mentioned we've got growth in spades. Okay, and this is where it gets a little exciting. Okay, so basically the next area we're going to go and drill the next deposits at our Develin Creek project. We announced the other day that we're planning a 10,000 metre up to 10,000 metre RC drilling program, and that'll largely focus on infill and step out drilling at these top 2 deposits, Sulphide City and Scorpion. The great thing here is these deposits are higher grade than our Mt Chalmers mine. Even though Mt Chalmers has got fantastic grade, these are actually higher grade again. So we expect that when we bring these into the mine plan, they will really goose the economics going forward. So Sulphide City and Scorpion will be the next deposits that we'll start to drill. And following that, we've got Woodshaft, which is only 800 metres away from our Mt Chalmers historic mine. And then we've got 2 other deposits called Botos and Mount Warminster, which I haven't got up there, which are also deposits within about 1.5 k's of the existing open pit. So we have upside in spades. Now, I did say there, and I'll just go back, I've just jumped ahead here, but I would really encourage you to go and have a bit of a look at some of the recent announcements around our regional exploration as well, okay? If you look in the bottom corner there, you'll see a prospect called Artillery Road, okay? We've announced, and there's a bit of a hint here, we've announced that we think we've found a new cluster, okay? We don't quite know what it means yet, but there's a cluster of these, what we call EM anomalies, and for those of you who aren't technical, we basically flew a helicopter survey over this whole project, I think it was early last year, and effectively it came up with about 40 of these EM anomalies. Now that basically gives you a really good indication, and I'm not technical either, by the way, it gives you a really good indication that there could be what they call massive sulphides, which is a hallmark of these VMS deposits. So we've got growth here in spades, and what's exciting is there's a really big cluster of these up at what we're calling the Artillery Road new discovery, okay? Now we drilled this last year, we drilled 13 holes and it came up, okay? This is big, I'm telling you, go and have a look at Artillery Road. This is looking really exciting and could really meaningfully, goose the economics of this business. I can see you're about to, the countdown's on, 20 seconds to go. I'll just leave this as a last little hint, and it's more a strategy piece, more a bit of a teaser. But when we did the PFS, there was about $250 million in lost value by selling what they call concentrates to traders. Now I can't say too much, but we are looking at ways to try and recoup some of that value for our shareholders and really goose returns. How am I going? Wrap it up? Done. All right, we'll call it quits there. But look, come and see me at the booth. We missed the last slide, so please come and say hello. My name's Andrew. I'm the chairman of QMines. As I say, a relatively new business, and we'd love to say good day and talk you through what we're up to. Thank you.